Hey everybody, it's Michelle Ann Johnson with Speech Queen. I'm going to be doing a series of videos where I watch and comment on different speakers giving presentations to an audience so that you can come away with some ideas and techniques and tips on how to be a better presenter starting tomorrow. Some things that you can start to integrate into your talks. All right, so we're going to start with a video of an iPhone event. I know, iPhone, yes. A little bit of Steve Jobs in the beginning, and then there are two more speakers. I'm going to break up each speaker into separate videos so that you can, I just want to keep them short, and so you can consume these videos at your leisure. So we're going to start with Steve Jobs. Again, just a little bit in the beginning. And this is from 2008. All right, just to give you a little bit of a context. All right, so let's just jump right in.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning for this special event. We're really excited to share some great news with you about the iPhone software roadmap. We've been working really hard on this, and we've got some really cool stuff to announce. So let's get on with it.
He really is, he comes across as very likable. And I think part of the reason why is because he's got a very expressive face. He's got a very expressive voice as well. So that emotional expressivity gives him a very warm quality. So just so you can think about this, you want to balance complementary qualities. Really great speakers can balance complementary qualities like likability and competence. Another way to think of this is warmth and strength. So he comes across as very likable, again, because of that emotional expressivity, but he also comes across, at least to me, as strong. And so, strength doesn't just have to come across as I'm strong and that kind of, very commanding gravitas. Strength can also come across in your level of comfort, because that comes across as very confident. And people look at this guy and go, wow, he's totally comfortable in this setting with a lot of people looking at him. He's unflappable. He must be really good at what he does. So very expressive. Don't be afraid to show some teeth, to smile. And again, he's emotionally connected. He's consistent. He says, I'm very excited to be here. And he shows that excitement in his face instead of, I'm very excited to be here, where there's that, you know what I'm talking about. So if you want us to feel it, you got to feel it. You're the conduit for the emotion. All right.
Before we get into the details, I just want to share a few statistics about how far we've come with the iPhone in just the first 8 months since we started shipping it. If you look at the US smartphone market, in just 8 months, the iPhone has garnered a 28% market share, second only to RIM, and dramatically ahead of third, fourth, and all the others. So we're pretty excited about this.
All right. So the other thing I want to point out is he's not afraid to gesture to his screen. Did you notice that? He turned around and just read the PowerPoint slide. And I know I've worked with people, sometimes they're afraid, they don't know, should I turn around? Should I turn my back to the audience? It's okay to turn your back to the audience. If you're reading the slide, just make the point about the slide back to the audience, which is what he does. So read its slide, here's what it says, because you want the audience to read it too. They're reading it anyway. So read it with them and then make the point, reconnect back to the audience. All right. The other thing I want to point out is just how comfortable he is in his body. Again, this easygoing nature, this very conversational quality. There's almost no tension in his body. If you notice, he's got his arms down to his side, or he's futzing with his sweater. He's just, there's no tension. And that also puts the audience at ease as well. All right.
This is fourth calendar quarter data here. So that's the first thing.
He's waiting for his applause.
As you know, the iPhone is really bringing the internet to a mobile device for the first time. You really do have the internet in your pocket. And that's being borne out by the usage statistics.
Nice arms.
Browser browser usage.
Gesturing.
Look at this. iPhone, 71% of the US mobile browser usage. Because for the first time, you really do have the internet in your pocket.
I'm sure you just noticed he made that statement for the first time. You really do have the internet in your pocket. He said that twice in about 10 seconds. So here's a really great example of finding a really catchy catchphrase and repeating it. Because in this instance, this is the differentiating feature of the iPhone. And so just using that little slogan is a really great way of reminding people, here's what's great about this product. Here's what's great about this new gadget that we're putting out into the market. Here's what differentiates us. You really do have the internet in your pocket. All right.
So these are very exciting statistics. And so let's get on with what we have to talk about today in terms of the iPhone software roadmap. Now, I've asked two of my colleagues to do the heavy lifting today. Phil Schiller.
Okay, I don't know if you guys just noticed that. So he's using a PowerPoint deck. He's got a clicker in his hand, right? And again, really great example of somebody who's using a clicker, but they're doing it in a way that's invisible. See, here's the thing. Steve Jobs gives you the impression that he is, I'm just going to get up on stage and give a talk, and it's very off the cuff. I can tell that he's rehearsed by the way that he's using his PowerPoint. He knows exactly which slide is coming next. And he's clicking in between sentences, in between points that he's making, so that it really seems like it's seamless. Let me just go back one more time and you'll see what I'm talking about here when he makes that click here.
And so let's get on with what we have to talk about today in terms of the iPhone software roadmap. Now,
click.
I've asked two of my colleagues.
So let's get on with what we're talking about today. He's not even looking at his monitor because you can tell he's got a monitor. Let's get on with what we're doing today. Click. He's a really good actor. Click, so that it shows, that slide is going to be up when he starts to say their names. So this is a really great example of rehearsing the choreography of your slide deck. So it's not just about rehearsing the content. It's also about rehearsing and choreographing your slide deck so that you know when you're going to click and when slides have to show up so that they coincide with what you're actually saying, because you want the slide and your content, what you're saying, to match. And so that's a clue for me that he has rehearsed, even though it seems like he's just rolled out of bed and gotten up on stage. He's just a really, really good actor, and he knows how to present, and he knows how to use that PowerPoint.
Colleagues to do the heavy lifting today. Phil Schiller, our Senior Vice President of Worldwide Product Marketing, and Scott Forstall, our Vice President of iPhone Software. And the first thing we're going to talk about is iPhone in the enterprise.
Okay, so he just did it again. So if you notice this enterprise slide, it took a couple of seconds to build, right? He clicked, and then it took a couple of seconds for the full screen to show up, the enterprise to show up. Now, another clue that he has rehearsed this because he knew that slide took a little bit of time, and he wanted to time it so that when he said enterprise, the slide would be up. So just again, I just want to show you how good he is.
Forstall, our Vice President of iPhone Software.
Click.
First thing we're going
to talk about
iPhone in the enterprise.
So he vamps a little bit. He vamped a little bit to give that slide some time to build so that it coincided with when he actually said enterprise. That's how good he is. That's why he's Steve Jobs. All right. Okay, and another really great example of how people work together as a team when they're giving a presentation. So he gave a nice little tee up for what Phil was going to be talking about. We're going to, here we're going to be talking about the iPhone and the enterprise, and I'm going to pass it off to Phil. Nice little introduction, and Phil comes up and says, "Thanks, Steve." So that's just this nice little exchange between team members, and it's really important because it lets the audience know these two people like each other. They're working together as a team, and it just makes that exchange seamless. It makes us feel like, oh, they've put some thought into this, and it's a whole cohesive presentation, even though you've got multiple speakers. Okay, so the big takeaways for me for this presentation. Number one, don't be afraid to be likable and strong. Some people focus just on the strength piece, and I'm going to give you an example of that in a subsequent video. But Steve Jobs was very, very warm, very approachable, very likable. Part of that is because he was emotionally expressive with his face, with his voice. The other thing is that tension. He had no tension really in his body. Very, very easy, very, very comfortable. That relaxation is really what you're going for when you're presenting in front of a group. Don't be afraid to address, turn around and speak to your PowerPoint slide. If you got to read it, go ahead and read it because the audience is reading it anyway. But just make the point about the slide that you want your audience to take away, make that back to the audience as you reconnect. And then the other thing is when you're working with a partner or in a team, tee them up, make your partner look really nice, introduce them, and have that nice exchange so that you really are working together as a team. All right. So I hope this was helpful. Going to be posting the other video very, very shortly. So until then, be well.